I have 3 new wonderful comic book recommendations for you, and I suggest using the Comixology app. You don't have to. You could go buy these, like the official books of these, and I'm going to put affiliate links in the show notes where you can go ahead and do that. Now, there will be no spoilers in these recommendations as I wish for you to enjoy them thoroughly. And the first book is Aquaman Sub Diego, and this is from the 2003-2006 run of the Aquaman comic book. These 3 books that I'm going to recommend, they're all graphic novels, so they're all complete stories. So the first one is Aquaman Sub Diego, and I'm one of those readers that when a movie of a character comes out, I'm curious to read some of their best published stories, according to fans. And thankfully, podcasts like Geek History Lesson are around, where I can get that information. Now, the premise of this particular comic, an earthquake has rocked San Diego and sunken most of the city into the bottom of the ocean. The death toll of animals and people is astronomical. Something strange happens, however. Aquaman discovers survivors, but they have changed. Now they can breathe underwater, but cannot do so on dry land. Their family members, loved ones, think they are dead, but because of this change, they can no longer live alongside them. Aquaman, being the protector of the oceans, must deal with this turmoil and find out why this is happening. It's a story that has multiple layers, and you get to see Aquaman use some of his powers and discover how much of a badass he is. My criticism with this book is that I feel that there is a supplementary villain shoehorned into the comic, but overall, I recommend this excellent book. Once again, it's Aquaman Sub Diego. The next book is Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, and this is from the 1993 to 1994 Marvel Comics run. Now, reading this book gave me feels of New York in the 70s, and how I know about that. I mean, I was born in the 70s, but more so through stories that some of my older brother's friends, when they were kids in the 70s, have told me, and from movies and TV shows or photos that I've seen from that era. And basically, New York in the 70s was not a safe place. Hell's Kitchen during this time was dangerous. To be around that area, like hookers and prostitutes and drugs, all throughout the Times Square Hell's Kitchen area. And for years, now speaking about the art, I've loved John Romita Jr.'s artwork. Whenever I think of his artwork, I think of characters with broken noses and all like beat up. He just does this kind of illustration super cool. But I've loved his work on older X-Men books, like during the 80s, and on Kick-Ass, which when those movies came out, I read some of those books, which were fantastic. And like I said, I just like the way he draws like these long characters. He's one of my favorites. He really is. Now, he's the artist for the book. Once again, the writer is Frank Miller, and Frank Miller's Sin City series was excellent, and the movies that came out as well, they were good to pretty good. This book, it gave me those vibes of Sin City, and I think that's a big reason why I enjoyed this book. He was working so this story came out around 1993, 1994, and he was working on Sin City a couple of years before doing this book. So you can see maybe the influence or the carryover influence, right? And in this story, we're introduced to Matt Murdock's relationship with Elektra. Matt Murdock's basically his origin story, his, like I said, relationship with Elektra and their romance. He also meets Foggy for the first time in this story, and their lifelong friendship begins here. So this was fantastic. My third and final recommendation is Darth Vader Volume 1, and this was published by Marvel Comics recently. This was published within 2015 to 2016. And I came to this comic by the way of the Collider YouTube channel, which I watch regularly. They have a weekly Star Wars-based show called Jedi Council, and I heard the hosts on multiple occasions discuss how good the Vader comics were. They were available, once again, through the Comixology app on the Unlimited section. And let me tell you something. I just read the first volume, and I was not disappointed. and that's why I'm recommending it, right? These books are considered canon in the Star Wars timeline, meaning that this isn't an offshoot story, but something that actually happened in this universe. And this story takes place after the events of A New Hope, which is the first Star Wars movie, which was released in 1977. Now, I enjoyed seeing Vader on his own. As a fan of these films, we followed Anakin's tragic story and transformation into this character, but never spent a lot of solo time with Darth. Now, in this series, Vader gives the feeling of ultimate confidence, no hesitation. If you cross him, he will end you. And I found it fascinating to follow him. In this book, he butts heads with the Emperor, and he's tested. He also wants to get his revenge on the rebels for the events from A New Hope and is looking to build an army. If I have one thing that I didn't like, is he feels very stiff. Not a lot of movement, but I'm second guessing that, and I'm thinking that might be on purpose. They're trying to maybe make him as he is on film, I guess. If you're a Star Wars fan, you really should check this out.